it's very, very specific. So you like Coke, you like LSD, you like whatever. So you have clubs that they accordingly accommodate the thing that you want to do. I was an art manager for a year, more than a year. In one of those clubs, I witnessed it firsthand.
I don't know, start touching your ass or stuff like that. Alcohol issues are quite a big deal here.
It's just very easy to go down the hole and
So they like also the standard dances, historical dances, like waltz, for instance.
I think the best thing about Prague, at least for me, is basically clubbing or like the nightlife. Because
Do you have any places to recommend for partying? How would you describe the clubbing and nightlife here in Prague?
Extends. I heard, like, before I moved here, I was told several times that Prague is supposed to be famous for the nightlife. I did not verify that until like the first time that I went out. The few times that I went out, I was shocked with like the stamina and the energy that people has whenever they go out. So for me, it's like I go out to a bar, to a club, and then I get back home. Okay, like that's it. But here it's like, bar, bar, club, and it goes, it continues like all the way until like maybe 12 p.m. the next day. Like that's,
How would you describe the club culture in Prague?
So, this is a big one. We have from warehouses that they are playing techno and minimal and drum and bass to whatever. We have only in the center of Prague at least 25 clubs that you can go and party. The prices are, believe, reasonable. With literally 12 euros you can enter almost everywhere. Maybe the only exception would be Duplex. Other than that, if you are a party animal, you are in the right place, for sure. And most of the clubs are literally, 15-minute walk maximum. So you can literally, from Duplex, you can go to Vzorkovna, you can leave Vzorkovna, you can go to Karlovy Lázně. Easy.
How would you then describe the clubbing culture here in Prague from that what you've experienced?
I prefer clubbing culture over here rather than Italy.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I would say that people are a little more polite. They keep it for themselves. Of course, it happens to flirt with other people while you are there, but people here go clubbing mostly to dance or get high if they want, and they don't really, start touching your ass or stuff like that, like straight away, which is annoying. So I would say that I feel safer going out here. I never felt very unsafe, although sometimes there are, homeless people, which is, it kind of makes me feel sorry, but at the same time you tend to avoid them because they are generally drunk. Alcohol issues are quite a big deal here from what I was told, but they generally are not aggressive, or like people selling drugs or things like that. They are not aggressive, or in particular, like, you feel pretty safe, honestly.
How would you describe the clubbing culture, the nightlife in Prague?
lively. It can be good, and there's always festivals on in the summer. Summer's amazing. It's the best thing ever, and you can mix with people, and it's great. It's just very easy to go down the hole, and like a lot of people have to get taken away from here because they indulge a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you expand on this?
So there are places here that are open until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, open at 2 o'clock in the morning, stay till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So you can never go to bed if you choose to do so, and that can obviously take a toll and impact on people's jobs, on people's well-being, on the way that they interact with each other. So as much as there's always music, which is really affordable, and you can see loads of live music, there's always great bands that are going to play here, and DJs and everything. But I think to ask about clubbing culture, I don't have very good connotations of it because of the amount of people that it, it's very easy to get carried away with it.
How would you describe the clubbing and party culture here in Prague?
Oh, this is a mixture because in clubs and in bars you will find tourists, but also local people. So there are lots of these underground bars. So clubs are usually in the city center, and there will be in cellars. So the ceiling might be a bit lower, but it's a quite nice culture. I like it because it's not a place where you can find hundreds of people, but maybe 30, 40, sometimes a bit more. Well, I like this kind of moto parties. I think they're very good in organizing those events, and I would say that they like also the traditional kind of parties. So you can also find a lot of balls and proms. So they like also the standard dances, historical dances, like waltz, for instance, and stuff. So this is definitely still a topic here, and I also kind of like it. I also joined some of these parties and balls. And then I also went with friends into other clubs. So I think they're definitely still into the 80s and 90s. So if you're a fan of that, you will find places. But nowadays also modern music, of course. It's very much mixed. But I wouldn't say that you find so much subcultures. So if you're very much into hip hop, for instance, or you just want to listen to house music, then it might be a little bit challenging finding a club because it's usually a mix of everything. But in general, I think Prague is the perfect place for concerts. They also have those classic concerts if you want to listen to Smetana and Dvorak, for instance. You can also find concerts from different European bands and singers, Rammstein, Ed Sheeran, other things. So they're very much also into international stars and bands.
How would you describe the club culture, the nightlife here in Prague?
Well, it's really nice. I think the best thing about Prague, at least for me, is basically clubbing or like the nightlife. Because it doesn't matter which day, people will always go out. It doesn't have to be checks. There are so many bars that there are almost no checks because it's filled with like tourists or international students. It's pretty wild and friendly, I would say. I have made some friends even by just like meeting those people at like clubs and bars. Then we basically became friends, and then we started going out together. And we're just like inviting each other to parties. Next week I have my party, so I'm inviting my Czech friend. People do not really have to worry about if they are being judged or something. They just like to party here and like to do, I don't know, drinks and drugs and those kind of stuff. So it's wild and it's almost like non-stop, I would say. So it's nice.
And how would you say it's in terms of drug consumption here? Is that quite prevalent in Czech nightlife? In Prague
Yeah,
nightlife?
yeah, I think so, because like Prague is basically like Amsterdam for Middle Europe, and it's pretty easy to find those kind of substances from people. Yesterday I was out with my friend and my sister. We went to somewhere in Old Town. It's called James Dean, and there was this drunk guy who was just like outside. And as we were like about to enter, he just came and he said like, "Oh, do you guys do coke? And like, do you want coke?" We said like, "No, like, why do you ask that? There's a security, but nobody gives anything, nobody gives a shit." So I think it's pretty easy to find. So I would say people like to use it, especially the young generation, I would say. Maybe the elder ones are kind of more prone to drinking, but the young ones, especially at like the raves, like techno parties, or not in clubs, but it could be like some festivals, and people will be doing that. Like there's non-stop, and I believe also security doesn't really care about it too much if it's not really threatening, you know.
And are there any specific venues, places that you can recommend for clubbing?
Depends the culture that you want to have. It's very, very specific. So you like Coke, you like LSD, you like whatever. So you have clubs that they accordingly accommodate the thing that you want to do. So it's not only the culture of the music, but it's also the culture of the nightlife that you want to include yourself.
There's always like festivals. So in May they have, I think it's the Islands Festival, and they have all different artists that play for free, and you can just go. In terms of the O2, they've had like I think Depeche Mode are playing here. I've seen The Cure here. They have like loads of people that come through. Roisin Murphy, she played here, and recently there's a lot of techno, obviously, and then one thing that I've experienced here, which probably goes on in other cities, but it's only just recently become more of a thing, is like the classical techno like mixture, and that's really exciting. The biggest recommendation I can give to anybody is go on goout.cz. It's a website where you can find like different types of music, and it's really, really cheap. Tickets that you can get, and you can find all these different venues on there that you might want to go to. Best venue, I love Bike Jesus. That's really cool.
The one that I like the most is Moon Club, because from time to time they also do like a theme night or a show night that's actually really nice. And then Duplex, that's where you get the most well-known DJs that actually come and play. Those are kind of the two that I went to the most. I went to a few more, but I think that these two I liked the most, for sure.
I would say Lucerna was pretty good, as well as Bike Jesus if you like techno music, Bike Jesus.
Then what areas would you recommend for having a good nightlife?
Well, then you could stay in the city center. There's one of the most known discotheque. This is in Karlovy Lázně. This is an old spa, and quite funny because you will definitely spend also time in those old pools. Of course, without water, but they have 3 different levels, also 3 different styles of music. And otherwise, in summer, it's also very nice staying close to the river. The Moldau has different places to stay. So they're also next to on a riverside. There are also lots of little bars, and also they do live concerts there and even live dances. So if you're into salsa or other dances, then you can find a group of dancers and singers doing their some acts. This is very special in summer. And Vinohrady is also good, especially if you are into meeting queer people. Then the city center or Vinohrady might be a good choice, because there are 2 clubs, smaller clubs.
I'm not really like type of person who goes to club all the time, but there's Duplex. It's like basically in the heart of the city. I think it's like the most popular one even in the world. It's like on the rooftop, so it's pretty easy to notice at nights because there's some lights and music coming from the top of the building. And it's a nice place. For example, people usually go there, and popular DJs go there as well, time to time. There is one club, there is Moon Club, there is a club called Epic. These are the places that usually where tourists will go.
Yeah, and you can also recommend them.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really my type of places. I prefer to go to, there's a place called Vzorkovna, I think, or it's called sometimes like Dog Bar. Usually students, or like, I mean, by students, they're like Erasmus students. So from like 18 until like 30, people go there, and it's like a club bar, or I don't know how you would say that. There are some like places, it's a pretty big venue on the ground. There are some places that DJs or like the bands are playing, and for the other parts, it's for people to socialize or talk with them, you know, drink together. And every time I went there, I was basically engaging with people if you're just like dancing, people could come, they just like hug you, I don't know, they dance with you, those kind of stuff. So if, I don't know, if you are like that type of person, I would prefer to, you know, go there.